since you hit play on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast today, I want to make sure that you know that our free self-love challenge is happening in February 2024 right here on the podcast. The goal of this challenge is to make creating an intentional practice of self-love even easier than ever simply by plugging in your earbuds and listening for about 10 minutes per day. But for the full experience, you're going to want to get the scorecard so you can enter the giveaways, get the daily journal prompts sent to your inbox, and join us for the live wrap-up podcast recording. Yes, you get to join me in the studio and record the podcast together live. It is all free. Go to wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge to sign up. Again, it is completely free. You'll get a daily reminder with the free 10-minute coaching each day and your journal prompt, and you will see a transformation over these 14 days. It is not only going to impact your relationship with yourself, but as I'll teach during the challenge, it is going to impact every single other relationship you have in your life, your relationship with other people, your relationship with teaching. That energy is going to impact every single other aspect of your life. So sign up at wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge. It's free. Now let's get to the episode. You are listening to episode number 49 of Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast, How to Prepare for Snow Days. Today, we're going to talk all about how to prepare for those unexpected days where you get snowed in, including some fun activities that you can add to your plans. But also, before we dive in, I have some really exciting announcements that you don't want to miss. So keep listening. Glad you're here listening to Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast today. I'm your host, Kelsey Sorensen, a former elementary teacher turned homeschool mom. Whether you are a teacher or a homeschool parent, my goal at Wife Teacher Mommy is to provide you with both teaching ideas and mindset tools to help you live your absolute best teacher life. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. Now let's go. So today was perfect timing for me to start recording this episode, like right now, because when I walked into the house, so I shared this on Instagram a while ago when we were building this, but it's been a while, so you likely don't know this, but I have a little office that I do a lot of my work in that is connected to my husband's garage and workshop. So if I need to go grab a drink or something, I need to walk into the house. So when I went to do that, it was suddenly snowing outside. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's snowing. And when I walked in, my youngest Peter, he came up to me. He's like, mommy, it's Christmas, which is so cute. I thought he was referring to the snow. Turns out they had started putting up the tree. Luckily, they're waiting for me to put up the ornaments, which we'll do after I'm done recording these podcasts and finishing my work for the day. It was just so cute. I'm so excited to talk about snow days today with you. Now, before I do that, I have some fun announcements before we get into the content about snow days. So first, I'm excited to share that we are totally gearing up for Educate and Rejuvenate winter break. And in fact, you can find more information about it right now. I'm not going to be sharing all about it today because we have a lot to get into. But I did want to mention, I had mentioned on some previous episodes that Bree Richardson from Honest Teacher Vibes is going to be on the podcast today. As you can tell, that's not the case. We had to reschedule that interview. It will be coming though, but she is going to be part of Educate and Rejuvenate Winter Break, which I'm so excited about. She will be doing a comedy keynote called We Can't Make This Up, Stories from the Classroom. It's going to include her classic humor that we see on her Instagram and TikTok. There's a reason she has so many followers. And then we're going to have sessions from me and Chrissy, our life coach from the Chrissy Concept. And my team member, Carol DiMolanta, is going to do a session with us. I just confirmed with her today that she will do one about data tracking because that was one on our member survey that people wanted to hear about. And she's super good at that. So she's going to be talking about that. And then we have Brianna Smith from Step It Fitness. She was here over the summer and she's coming back to do a workout with us. It's going to be such a great time. This event is just for our members, but we do have a limited time trial where anybody can come and join us. It's just $9. So go to educateandrejuvenate.com to learn about it, or stay tuned because on Tuesday I have a bonus episode coming for you where I'll share a little bit more about how that event will work and all the actual topics we're going to be talking about. Now I have another exciting announcement for you too. I have mentioned on the podcast that I've been wanting to get certified as a life coach as well, kind of like Chrissy, our life coach in the club. She was certified by the Life Coach School. And I've been following the Life Coach School in Brooke Castillo since 2019. I've shared my story about coaching on the podcast a few times. And I was planning on sometime next year getting my coaching certification. But I attended an event with Brooke Castillo the past weekend, and I could not pass up the chance to join. I can't wait to share with you what I'm learning and how it's going to serve you, and how what you learn from this coaching can help serve your students and your families and yourself. So there are going to be free one-on-one coaching opportunities for members of Wife Teacher Mommy Club coming up soon. More to come on that. I'm going to figure out how we're going to offer those to our members once I get to that stage in my certification, but those will be available to members. And I do want to take you on a little bit of the journey with me of what I'm learning while I'm doing this certification, even just you as a podcast listener, whether or not you're in the club. So I wanted to share a little tidbit of what I have learned so far. So I have one little tip for you, and really it comes down to holding space for yourself. Now, you might think, what is holding space? So in my curriculum book from the Life Coach School, it talks about how I, as a coach, will hold space for my clients to work out whatever they need to work out. So I'm not offering my personal opinion. It doesn't matter. It's all about the client and what works for them, and they know what's best for them. Now, as a coach, you ask questions and you help them discover what is right for them and access their own wisdom. But in some of the videos, I also talked about holding space for myself as a coach to learn and make mistakes, and also holding space for any people in our clients' lives who they mention. So if they're mentioning like a colleague who's giving them a hard time, holding space for them. And I think this is something that we can all keep in mind in our lives. We can hold a space for ourselves, really see ourselves when we find ourselves doing something that maybe we didn't want to do or that we have regret about. Instead of beating ourselves up, we can just be curious instead. So look at yourself and be like, I wonder what that's all about. What was I feeling then? And hold that space for yourself without any sort of judgment. And we can do the same for our students and our own children. So flip that script. Be like, okay, I wonder what's going on there, instead of just feeling that frustration. So I hope that little tip was helpful. So let me know if you want to hear more about this. You can DM me on Instagram. I could do a longer episode if you'd like to hear more. And I'm sure I'll share some more little tips as I'm going through my certification, and probably even some full episodes. But I had this snow day episode already planned and still wanted to dive into it. I just wanted to share a little tidbit because, surprise, I'm working on this certification and I want you to join in the journey with me. Okay, so let's talk about snow days. As I mentioned, I'm very excited about this topic. As I was planning this episode, I was trying to remember some snow days from when I was a little girl. So I live in Utah. We definitely get snow every winter. There were some snow days where we got to stay home, but really there weren't too many. I feel like around here, people were just used to driving in the snow, going to school and everything. And I think the reason that snow days are sometimes avoided is they can cause interruptions in the school year. And as I was scrolling in some teacher Facebook groups, many teachers said that they had snow days for up to a week. And of course, it depends on where you live in your winter. But when you do that, the days generally have to be made up later. So one other thing that COVID has taught us is that learning can continue with students at home. And of course, that's not always ideal, especially if it's the last minute, but it is an option. So some schools are doing e-learning or giving activities that can be done at home. And you'll see this with headlines when you Google just some of the ones that came up, where no escape as snow day becomes e-learning day. Another one says, no more snow days thanks to remote learning. Not everyone agrees. COVID-19 and snow days, schools use online class to cancel them. New York City just canceled snow days and parents aren't happy. What is a school digital day? What happened to WCSD snow days? Should there still be snow days? Snow days turned into digital days at some Minnesota schools. It's happening all over the country. So this is all super important to note as we dive into our tips for preparing for snow days. Tip number 1 that I have is know whether your school is doing e-learning or making up the days later in the year. So as we kind of mentioned this before, it's important to know. And if they have any specific requirements for snow days, I've had some customers reach out and tell us that they bought our snow day packets because they were required to have a certain amount of plans on hand. In fact, we've even been asked to create more of them, which we're already working on, since some schools schools, we're required to have even more than we currently offer. Although if you are a Wife Teacher Mommy Club member, I'd also recommend pulling from our January Math and Language Arts sub-plans for more related materials that could definitely be used for snow day packets as well. So anyways, just knowing what they do and what they expect so you can start getting prepared. And then step number 2 is to have your snow day materials planned ahead of time. So now that you know the format, you can find printable and or digital activities that will work for that, depending on what is needed for your specific situation. Now, here are some activities and ideas I would love to share with you. So for language arts, one of my favorite things, and really one of the easiest things, is to find some fun snow-themed passages or books to read. Now, it's probably easiest with passages because you can make copies and send them home with students. You can't really send home a book with every student. So I would probably recommend passages in this instance. And another fun idea is to have a writing activity, and you could have students write about if they were stuck in a snow globe. So have them kind of imagine if they were stuck in a snow globe, what would they do? They can kind of fill in that blank. They can write a story. So those are some fun ideas. And we have both of those activities available in our snow day packets. Now for math, you could find some pages that have snow themed math problems. Like I love the theme. If it's a snow day, if you can find things that are themed for like snow, especially snow days, that's a lot of fun for the children. They just love that. So depending on their grade level, you could find like addition or subtraction with snowflakes. So you could have word problems that involve snow. There are so many things you could find on Teachers Pay Teachers, or, obviously in the club. In our shop, we've got lots like in our snow day packets and lots of other resources. Color by number are also really fun and popular. And it doesn't have to be just the simple number like that you would do with younger children, but you can find ones that have like math problems that are specific for each grade level, like what they're working on. So if they're working on multiplication, you can find multiplication problems that are color by number, or division or fractions or whatever. And then another fun one is to do a snow themed math board game. Now we have this included in our snow day packets, and it's a printable board game. So again, you don't have to like provide a board game to each student. They can have it home and they can play this game and they can be practicing their math facts. Okay, so those are all the math. Now, fun science idea that I have is to have students learn about the life cycle of a snowflake. Obviously, that is the water cycle. But you would start off by the kids would think about the snow outside and that there's snow that they can look at and touch. And this is all in like a lesson plan that could be sent digitally or with printables to the parents to do. You can also have them look out the window. You can have the students think about where snow comes from and then explain that they're going to get to act out and dance each stage of the life cycle of a snowflake, which is the water cycle. So there's obviously condensation, precipitation, runoff, accumulation, evaporation, and it goes around and around and around, as we know. So students can act that out, which is a lot of fun and something that they can do. Like you could just send home directions and there's not even printing or anything required for them to be able to learn and talk about that and then just be able to act it out. And then they're learning a science topic that is related to snow days, which is just really fun. Now, a fun art activity they can do because, it is a snow day. You want to have some fun things for them to do. And even like things that if some students aren't able to get them done, it's okay. Like they're not going to get behind because they may not have the same parental support as other students at home. But this art project is a lot of fun. You can do a crayon resist water snowflake. So what they'll need to do is use a white crayon and draw an X on a piece of paper, draw a line straight down the center and a line straight across the middle. And they'll continue doing that to make multiple snowflakes all over the paper. And then they'll choose 3 different colors of watercolor paints. They'll dip their paintbrush to clean it and then into the watercolor, make sure to get it very wet, and then begin to paint directly onto the snowflakes. And once they decide to change colors, they rinse their brush, they can blend colors together, and as they paint, they will see snowflakes magically appear. And then for some added magic, sprinkle some table salt on the wet areas of your artwork. Now, we have more directions about that in our snow day packets, but that is a really fun activity that students can do. And then another fun idea is directed drawings. These are always so loved by children. They just find them so much fun. And we have these also in our snow day packets for snow themed directed drawings. We could find these on Teachers Pay Teachers or likely Amazon or anything like that as well. Because it's good to have some of those fun activities for snow day. And again, so there's not too much content that kids are missing out on if some are able to do more than others. Okay, and then my last tip, number 3, is to manage your mind about any stress that comes up with the unexpected. Like we mentioned, snow days, they can just pop up anytime, kind of like a sub day when you're sick. And then you might be stressed that you're not getting in the content that you were going to, or that some kids might be behind versus others. As teachers, we like to plan and have control at times, which is kind of laughable, as we also know that we need to go with the flow. But things aren't going to go exactly as planned, and that's okay. And it won't be exactly like you would have taught. And if it goes on for a few days, you might be behind and just think, we're a bit behind, and that's okay. Go with the flow, manage your mind about the stress. And getting behind or the added days, we can help you with any stress that comes up during snow days in our coaching Inside Wife Teacher Mommy Club. You can put it into Ask a Coach. Be like, hey, I'm stressed out about this, and we can help walk you through it. And if you want to make planning for these snow days just a bit easier, be sure to check out our lower and upper grade snow day packets. They are the answers to your prayers on an unexpected snow day. Everything your student will need to have an education-filled day from the comfort of their own home, and it can all be assigned digitally. Or you can send home printables if you prefer. We have both options for you. You can be prepared with ready to go snow day plans. They're easy to upload and go. We have a lower grade option and an upper grade option. So you can pick one or the other. You can use both depending on what grade levels you teach. And you can easily differentiate and meet the needs of your students with these packets because we've included multiple levels in each one. They include 3 different language arts activities with accompanying worksheets tailored to each grade level, 3 expertly leveled reading passages with comprehension questions to get your students working on their reading skills, hands-on science experiment lesson plan with differentiated worksheets to reach all learners, color by code and equation activities for each grade level, 2 different art lesson plans with each activity. You'll have some writing, language arts, and math review board games. And it's true that your students won't be doing exactly what you planned with in-person lessons that day, but they will be learning with quality, standards-based activities. And the best part is that you'll be prepared. You won't have to worry at all about what you were going to do when an unexpected snow day happens. We have you covered. So let's recap what we learned about preparing for our snow days in this episode. So number 1, we want to find out your school's expectations for a snow day. Is it going to be e-learning? Are you going to be taking the day off and then making it up later? How is that going to work? What are you expected to have prepared? That is important to know so you know how to do step 2, which is to prepare your snow day materials and have them ready ahead of time. So when it comes up, you don't have to stress. You're like, oh yeah, I already have this. It's ready to send home. Or, oh, I have these packets that are already sent home if you're preparing ahead of time, like if you know there's going to be inclement weather. And number 3 is to manage your mind when you're feeling stressed about missing out on time or on, oh my goodness, what am I going to do to make this up? Or, oh, now I have to add another day to the end of the school year. We can help you do that in the club if you need to, but you can also just think these thoughts of adding, and that's okay at the end. Like we're going to be behind and that's okay. Or another day's added to the end of the school year and that's okay. I find that and that's okay thought very helpful when I can just pull that one out when I need it. Okay, so that is all for today, but don't forget to go to educateandrejuvenate.com if you want even more support and you want to learn about our winter event. It's going to be so fun. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Next week's episode is going to be how to survive the week before winter break. And it's tips from teachers in our community. So I will be reading responses from social media, and we have some voice clips that we'll be sharing as well. So you'll be hearing from teachers in their own words how they survived the end of the school year. And you are bound to get some tips and tricks that are going to help you survive that week before the break as well. So be sure to check it out. You won't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you're ready to take the next step with me, then you are going to love Wife Teacher Mommy Club. Our top-selling resources for pre-K through 6th grades have been used and loved by tens of thousands of teachers. And the club gives you one-click access to all of them to meet the needs of every child you teach while saving tons of time. Plus, you'll have our certified life coach in your back pocket with several monthly workshops and an Ask a Coach portal you can use 24/7. The combo of resources and coaching is our secret sauce to your best teacher life. Think of my team and I as your personal team, doing the lesson planning for you and on the sidelines coaching you and cheering you on as you focus on what you do best, impacting the children you teach. Plus, if you're loving this podcast, You'll also have access to our private podcast just for members, where I continue the conversation with all of our guests with members-only bonus episodes. And don't forget the club with VIP access to Educate and Rejuvenate, our summer conference, and our private Facebook community full of like-minded educators supporting each other. You do so much for everyone else, so it's time to invest in yourself. Your teacher friends' jaws will drop when they see just how quickly you finish your planning. Not to mention the glow of the happier, more fulfilled you. Head on over to wifeteachermommyclub.com to learn more.